He's the author of the New York Times best-selling book, It's Not Just Who You Know. He's an inspirational leadership expert who is transforming the way organizations do business. Tommy Spaulding is a speaker, author, and global leader. Tommy has served as the CEO and president of the world-renowned leadership organization Up With People. He is also a leading entrepreneur who started 4 national leadership organizations.
If you want to build 4th and 5th floor relationships with your customers and your clients and your employees, you can't just be nice to people. Nice is not enough. Nicety isn't enough. You can't just use people's name, speak about other people's interests, be kind, use a smile. Those might get you a good introduction, a good networking, but to build lifelong customers, to build lifelong friends, to build employees that will stay at your company and work their tail off for you because they believe in you and their mission, you have to have 4th and 5th floor relationships.
Tommy is a content-driven speaker focused on transforming minds and hearts by cultivating relationships, customer service, employee motivation, and community engagement. Tommy teaches audiences how to develop transformational relationships with customers, employees, and stakeholders, taking them through the 5 floors of relationships.
And to build successful organizations in the 21st century, it can't just be about you. It can't just be about profits. I'm not saying profits aren't important. Profits are very important. But if you study the history of how organizations and companies actually started, it was started to serve others, to find a void in the community, to give back. And relationships and profits should be co-kings. Relationships and profits should be equals. You know, companies across the world always talk about ROI, return on investment. If I'm going to invest in something, what's my return? I like to introduce a new concept called ROR, return on relationships. That if you invest in relationships, if you invest in your employees, if you invest in your customers, and to do that, you got to give. Because it's not just who you know, but it's how you know them and how you care about them and develop those personal relationships with them.
Meet the world's newest thought leader on organizational leadership and success, Tommy Spaulding.
And the way to build 4th and 5th floors, you have to advance people. You have to think about how you can connect people.
His national best-selling book, It's Not Just Who You Know, is published by Random House. Readers discover how to shift personal and professional relationships from transactional to transformational, inspiring purpose, value, and profitability. His revolutionary concepts have been applauded by leading business strategists.
Everything Tommy does, he does with passion and energy and insight. I want to tell you, he's going to be tremendous for your organization.
I've never seen anyone connect with and move an audience like Tommy does. His real-life stories are packed with groundbreaking, powerful ideas, and they're delivered in a way that really inspire us in the truest sense of the word. They breathe life into our aspirations as leaders, and mark my words, Tommy Spaulding will be one of the top 10 speakers in this country.
It's not about getting. You have to look at yourself and say, how could I help others? You got to have that DNA in your heart. And if you have that DNA in your heart, you will change your career, you will advance your career, you will change your organization will grow and have even more profits, and you'll change the world.
Tommy has spoken to corporations, educational institutions, associations, and nonprofit organizations worldwide. Drawing from his solid business and leadership roles, Tommy knows what drives success.
You can truly love your competitor. You can help advance people that you would never think. But if you live life with this spirit in your heart, with your customers and your clients and your employees and your vendors and the people in your life and your friends that you want to build, not networking relationships like you learn from a book, How to Win Friends, Influence People, but if you want to build life-changing relationships that'll change your entire organization, it has to be a spirit in your heart. And that spirit will change the world.
He is sincere, authentic, and funny. He inspires audiences, leaving them eager to put his ideas into action.
And it was a hard year for me because all my friends were going to all these amazing schools, Michigan, Notre Dame, Stanford, Harvard, and they graduated magna cum laude and summa cum laude, and I graduated high school, thank God almighty, cum laude. I mean, it was hard. It was hard.
Tommy draws from his life story to inspire audiences.
So I moved to this village of 6,000 Japanese. I was the only gaijin, the only American. I didn't speak a lick of, I can't even speak English correctly, let alone Japanese. And I get to this community, I didn't know anybody. And it was the first time in a long time that I was scared. And my next door neighbor, Mrs. Tanaka, that owned the local bread store, she knocked on my door. And she welcomed me. And she explained that she has 2 kids in high school, and she's really interested in learning conversational English. And we became friends. She'd come over to my house, and we'd have a little tea party, and we'd talk English, and she'd teach me some Japanese, and then she finally invited me to her home, and I went to her home and met her 2 children. We started talking about English and Japanese, and we built this beautiful friendship. This American kid and this Japanese family, 12,000 miles away. As time went on, I realized that every time I went over their house, the husband, Mr. Tanaka, never really came in the room. In fact, when I came in the room, he would leave. And at first I thought he was just really shy, because you know the Japanese culture, if they don't speak perfect English, they're very shy. So I thought he wanted to excuse himself. But as about months went on, I realized that there was something going on here. So I remember when I went to Mrs. Tanaka, and I finally asked her, why? Every time I come over here, does your husband leave the room? And Mrs. Tanaka started crying, and she had tears in her face, and she bowed her head in shame. And she said, my husband hates America. My husband hates Americans. He vowed never to have an American in his home. I said, why? I know I'm a Yankee fan. You don't have to hold that against me. Your country bombed our country 50 years ago in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And my husband's family was killed. And he hates America. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. That's what she said. But I went back. And finally, after volunteering at his house and helping shovel that snow when the snow came down, and when they picked the rice in April, I was there at 4 o'clock in the morning helping pick the rice, trying to earn his respect, earn his trust, earn his friendship. And it's amazing what sake can do. We drank a lot of sake. Wow. And we started laughing. And we started becoming friends. And we became great friends. 2 years later, I left Japan to go to Australia to get my business degree. And I remember going to the train station to say goodbye. And there was all my friends and family that I met in Japan for the last 2 years. This is 15 years ago. And there was Mr. Tanaka, budging his way through the line with his arms wide open, saying, I love you. You are my American son. One person, a dyslexic kid from upstate New York that never left New York, got to travel with an organization called Up With People that changed his heart, changed his life. And because of that, he changed Mr. Tanaka.
Tommy Spaulding's groundbreaking material will transform your organization, your career, and your life.
Every single person in this room has a Mr. Tanaka in your company, in your community, and in your life. Every single person has the opportunity to build relationships with people that you don't think of.
For booking information, please contact the person who provided this program.